Schools are supposed to be places where we feel safe, where we learn, laugh, and grow. But sometimes, the walls of these institutions hold secrets, dark, terrifying secrets. Tonight, I'm going to share with you 3 school stories that will make you think twice about staying after hours or even attending class. Get ready for the unexpected. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You don't want to miss the nightmares we share here on Midnight Whispers.
Hey, I'm Ethan. My story takes place when I was in 7th grade, and it's still the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced. This wasn't just a strange coincidence. Something was watching us that night. Our middle school was old, the kind of place where every hallway creaked, and the walls seemed to echo forever. It was rumored that the school had been around for over a century, and some of the original staff never really left. It was a Friday night, and a group of us had volunteered to help with the annual school play setup. We were there, late, past dark. The rest of the school was dead silent, except for the occasional thud of someone moving props. That's when one of the teachers mentioned the janitor, Mr. Thompson. Except Mr. Thompson had passed away years ago, according to the rumor. He was always around, still cleaning the school late at night. The teacher chuckled, but the story sent shivers down my spine. While we were working on the set, I needed to grab some paint supplies from a storage closet down the hall. I told my friends I'd be right back and headed into the darkened hallway. As I walked, I could hear something faint, like keys jangling and the sound of slow, dragging footsteps. I stopped, thinking it was just my imagination. But then I saw him. A man, tall, hunched over, with a mop in one hand, at the end of the hallway. His back was to me, but I could see the mop slowly dragging across the floor. He looked like any janitor, except something was off. I called out, "Hey, I'm just grabbing something from the closet." But he didn't respond. He just kept mopping. I walked faster, hoping to avoid him. But as I passed him, I glanced down. His feet weren't touching the floor. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and he was gone. I sprinted back to the gym, heart racing. My friends laughed at me when I told them, saying I'd probably just seen things because I was tired. But then, the teacher stopped us. She looked serious. Too serious. "The janitor you saw, well, he hasn't worked here for years," she said. "He died in the school, and people have claimed to see him at night ever since. But no one's ever been brave enough to talk to him. I never went back to that school after dark, again."
Hey, I'm Kayla. This happened when I was a sophomore in high school. We always hear about haunted places, but we don't expect to find them in our own school. Let me tell you, it's a lot scarier when the ghost isn't in a movie. My high school wasn't particularly old, but it had a history of strange happenings. Most of it we brushed off, flickering lights, weird noises. But there was one part of the school everyone avoided. The hallway where the cursed locker was. Locker 317. According to the story, a girl named Hannah had gone missing back in the 80s. She was a student here, and the last place anyone saw her was standing in front of that locker. The rumor was that her spirit never left, and sometimes the locker would open by itself, even though it had been bolted shut years ago. One afternoon, I had to stay late to make up a chemistry test. The halls were quiet, and as I passed the lockers on the way to my class, I stopped at 317. The door looked rusted and old, but nothing about it seemed that unusual. Just another locker, right? As I stared, the locker clicked. My heart stopped and I froze. The door creaked open, just an inch, just enough for me to see something inside. A folded note, yellowed with age, wedged into the gap. I don't know why, but I reached for it. As soon as I touched the note, the locker slammed shut with a loud bang. I jumped back, my breath caught in my throat. The note was still in my hand. When I opened it, all it said was, "Help me. I'm still here." I threw the note away and ran as fast as I could out of the school. I tried telling people, but no one believed me. I wasn't the first person to experience something weird with that locker, though, and I know I won't be the last.
Hi, I'm Logan. I'm sorry for whispering, but I have to tell someone our story. I want to tell you about the time I realized some classrooms hold more than just desks and chairs. Some hold secrets that should never be uncovered. This happened during my junior year. We had an old classroom in our high school that had been shut down for years. It was at the end of a long, unused hallway, and the doors were always locked. Rumor had it that a teacher had died there years ago, some kind of accident, but no one really knew the details. One day, during study hall, a group of us decided to explore. We were bored, and we thought it would be fun to sneak into the abandoned room. I wasn't really on board with it, but peer pressure does weird things to people, right? We found a way to unlock the door, and as soon as it creaked open, a rush of cold air hit us. The room was dark, dusty, and filled with old desks, like no one had stepped foot inside in decades. As we looked around, someone noticed something strange. On the chalkboard, written in faint, smudged letters, were the words, "Get out." We laughed it off, thinking it was some prank, but the atmosphere in the room felt wrong, heavy, like we weren't supposed to be there. Then, we heard the whispering. It started faintly, like someone far away was talking just below their breath. We all froze, straining to listen. The whispers grew louder, but we couldn't make out any words. It sounded like a group of people, all talking at once, their voices overlapping and getting more frantic. Suddenly, one of my friends screamed and bolted for the door. We didn't need to ask why, we all ran. As we sprinted down the hallway, I looked back for just a second and saw it. Standing in the middle of the room was a shadow, a tall, dark figure, watching us. We never went back to that hallway. A week later, the school boarded up the door, but sometimes, if you're walking by after dark, you can still hear the whispering.
And that brings us to the end of tonight's stories. But remember, just because the stories stop, it doesn't mean the fear has to. Schools are places we're supposed to feel safe, but sometimes the walls whisper secrets. The lockers hold memories of the forgotten, and in the dark, something or someone might still be watching. These stories are proof that the shadows hide more than just darkness. So next time you hear a strange knock, see a flicker of movement out of the corner of your eye, or feel like you're being watched in a place you thought was safe, think twice. If these tales gave you chills, don't keep them to yourself. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because there are more chilling stories waiting to be told. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. And remember, not every school bell marks the end of class. Sometimes it's just the beginning of something much darker